Good evening, fans, friends, Romans, countrymen, America, viewers and listeners across the country, across the planet, across the universe, and across the multiverse. We're here live, another fantastic installment of EKB Productions podcast, EKB's TTS. Talk that shit, and we're gonna be talking about a topic that's on a lot of people's minds today, as of the past few weeks, the fallout to the recent, predominantly Marvel, but Marvel and DC announcements from San Diego Comic-Con. Right there. Yes, there was a lot of announcements of the upcoming new projects for the next year for 2025, as well as for Marvel, in Marvel's case, projects for 2026 all the way through 2027. And one specific announcement was as well as some trailers that were dropped, which we're gonna go over for each individual project from DC and Marvel. Starting with the first project was announced, which we all know by now from recent, because the trailer dropped weeks prior to Comic-Con, is Captain America: Brave New World. Right there. It's set to drop Valentine's Day. That's February 14th of 2025. That is gonna be. I gotta be honest with you. Hot take, and I think from over the years, this is the general consensus I got, that most people agreed with me, but feel free to disagree in the comments below, that I don't really like Sam being Captain America. I'm not for that. I'm not in favor of that. I personally wanted Winter Soldier, Bucky, to get a redemption arc through becoming Captain America. That's what I think we wanted to see in the for this particular new movie. But I am interested in the premise of this for I guess two and a half reasons. One mainly being the presentation of Harrison Ford being introduced as now General Thunderbolt Ross, who has now, since his last appearance in Black Widow, is now been won an election and become President Ross, and is going to be annulled with gamma radiation and become the Red Hulk. That's what everyone's most excited for. You can see that by at the end of the trailer when he takes Cap's shield and he throws it into the side of the ground with that, with that Hulk growl. Blew my mind away. That's one. The secondary being the ongoing. I kind of like how they're not afraid to put America's history front and center right there with the showing of, you saw in the release in the original trailer. They've since changed it, which we'll talk about in a minute, but the part where the assassination attempt takes place right there, and Ross gets shot in the chest by Isaiah, who's I guess the first or second black Captain America, one of the original black super soldiers, and that theme of PTSD and not feeling accomplished or treated or respected, which is a theme a lot of predominantly, African Americans and minorities feel anyway, even outside of fiction. So that's important. You got to put that on display, especially since we're dealing with the concept of a black Captain America, which I love that particular scene where they're in the White House, or I think they were in the Yellow Room or the Roosevelt Room, and they were talking, Ross and Sam, and he says, well, okay, you might be Captain America, but you're not Steve Rogers. That's what they're hitting at. Absolutely love it. I am definitely in favor of that. The only thing I am not fond of, because life imitates art, right? But in this case, I think they think that art was imitating life because of the simple fact that, like I told you, the assassination attempt happened in the original trailer. But since then, with the fallout of the actual real-world event of, Trump getting shot at that campaign event, they've since changed that and moved out from it, which I hate. I don't like that. Like, when you let real-world events change your perception of art right there, that's stupid. People know it's fiction, especially considering the fact that this movie was created way before Trump was even running for president. That's just stupid. No. I'm not for it. I'm completely against that, especially considering another show that just got their fourth season, The Boys, with Homeland and them. the assassination attempt on the president happened in that show too, and they put out a statement. They did it right way. He said, like, we're very sensitive. We understand these real world things happen, but this was shot way before that. This is supposed to be an accurate presentation to help advance the story that we're trying to tell. All that, it's necessary, right there. And I hope they don't inevitably try to drastically change the model of what they were trying to do with Isaiah, because it's kind of pivotal to Sam's overall story. Those two continuities are tied now. I also hope that they show, because supposedly, I don't know, the villain behind the movie, I think, is just the president himself, you know, just Ross. But I really wanted to be the leader. Samuel Stearns, Dr. Samuel Stearns, who's playing the leader. They brought him back from the original Incredible Hulk movie in 2009-10. I hope that it's good, and I hope his depiction is really good and it's comic book accurate, because he's one of my favorite villains, and I think he deserves a shot to be on the big screen, especially if they're hopefully eventually going to do another Incredible Hulk movie, which I hope they do, but there's argument over rights and issues, and the stuff with Universal owning the rights to the Hulk is just crap. So I hope that we get through that. Yeah, but overall, excitement level is like a 7.5 out of 10. So there's that. So here's hoping. So the next item, that's a Captain America Brave New World, February 14th, 2025. The next item is the Thunderbolts right there. And this drops on, I don't want to be inaccurate, hold on. I'm not saying I'm a genius right there. I have it written down here. May 2nd, 2025. That's when it drops. This story, I'm gonna be honest with you. I fancy myself kind of a comic book expert, but I'm not exactly sure what the actual plot line, if behind the script, actually is right there. I know for a fact that, and it's good timing, because that Captain America will have already come out. But Thunderbolts will have President Ross in it. Harrison Ford will be reprising his role as Thunderbolt Ross for the Thunderbolt, which makes sense because the team is named after him. It'll be led by the Countess Valentina, or Val, who is the head of the CIA. You remember her from Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, who is now the ex-wife of Agent Ross. Okay, so with that being said, I don't know what the plot is, but the point of contingent that the main villain might be one of their members, or someone who will become a member later on, kind of similar to Adam Warlock in Guardians of the Galaxy, is the Sentry. One of those powerful beings in the Marvel Universe. He is basically, I guess, a Superman-like clone, because he has the powers of 1,000 suns exploding all at once. A nuclear time bomb there with a volatile attitude that is both a villain and a hero because of his psyche. I love him, and I'm super excited to see how that's depicted. Now, they've updated all the looks of all the characters, the designs. They put out a trailer for that, and I think most people are satisfied with that. And I love, personally, as everyone does, I love White Widow. I love Yelena. And I think she's, of course, naturally going to become the leader by proxy. Her and Bucky. All for that. So I don't have anything to say negative about this project. Mostly just positives. I only wish that I knew more about what the actual plot line would be. But the cool thing about it is they finally did reveal to us, because of this movie, who in the end ended up as a result. You remember in Spider-Man No Way Home, when the whole concept was they were moving all the Avengers stuff to the Avengers compound or Avengers mansion out of the tower. They finally revealed to us in that movie that who bought Avengers Tower. There was speculation that it was maybe that was the Fantastic Four. That'll be the new Baxter building, or maybe it's Wilson Fisk. I was personally rooting for Wilson Fisk because it would kind of be cool with the upcoming, which we're also going to talk about, but in a separate video, the upcoming Daredevil Born Again show. Wilson Fisk will be running for mayor, and he'll win and become mayor of New York City and outlaw vigilantes and outlaw superheroes. So, to plot all that, his revenge on Daredevil from Avengers, what's formerly Avengers Tower, which is now Fisk Tower, would be awesome. That's what I personally was rooting for, especially since supposedly I booked it and a lot of other people booked it, but I don't think that's the direction they're going, in which I don't get why. Wilson Fisk will not be the main villain in the fourth Spider-Man movie, which is fucking stupid because most of us want, since Spider-Man is starting from the ground up again, because of everybody forgets that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, that it should be a street level hero movie this time around. So, and who's the best street level villain in all of Marvel? Wilson Fisk. I mean, he controls all the crime in New York City, which is where most Marvel heroes are anyway. So it would make sense for him to run into Spider-Man. But overall, yeah, my excitement level for Thunderbolts is very high. It's an 8.5 out of 10. My only... Oh, here's one. The only potential problem, as what a lot of people said, based because of Black Widow movie. I don't like that Taskmaster. Fuck that. I really hope that, no offense to the actor or whatever, but I hope they kill her off in this movie, since it's basically just Marvel's version of the Suicide Squad. They just kill her off and just replace her with the guy in the comic books that is Taskmaster. Just make that the replacement and fix the entire design right there, because I never felt that character, never liked that character. And same thing with, you know what, I'm gonna be fair to both sides. The same thing with Ghost. No one really has a high opinion of Ant-Man and the Wasp, the second Ant-Man movie. No, that's because of that. Don't like Ghost either. Crap. I mean, there's a bunch of other, aside from switching out the Taskmaster, because Taskmaster should definitely be on the team, but for Ghost's part, there should be a lot of other people that could be factored in there. Like maybe a potential plant, like probably right in Songbird. And it turns out Songbird is like, at the end, just like in the comic books, it turns out to be Screaming Mimi, who's a minor Marvel villain, who eventually realizes she prefers being a hero more than a villain, so she renounces her ways in the end to become a hero and stand up and help save the world. And that could be part of the plot line of whoever the main villains are in the movie. I think they should do something like that. But overall, my excitement for it is still kept the same. So it's like a solid 8 out of 10 for excitement for that particular movie. So now a project very, 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 very close to my heart. I have a lot to say about this one. It's Fantastic Four First Steps right here. Yes, I am so pumped right there. Now, as you know, for those of you that are old enough to remember, like myself, and maybe I'm showing my age here, although I'm not that old, but I was definitely around when these movies first came out. The Fantastic Four has literally, if you count them, well, it's less than 5, but 3. It's had 3 different live-action adaptations. 2005, then 2007, and then the latest one was like I want to say 2013, something like that. And all of them sucked. Let me be real. Now, don't get me wrong. The latter of which, the 2005 ones, starring Chris Evans, is the one, when he was auditioning to play Captain America. So he's played, as you see from the movie Deadpool and Wolverine, he's played 2 different characters over 2 different generations, and I'm all for that. But now we have pretty much, I think, I'll be honest, I think we have the perfect cast for this. Vanessa Kirby's playing Susan Storm. Joseph Quinn is playing which is kind of a point of contention for a lot of people. I guess he's playing an older version of Johnny Storm, because personally speaking, maybe I'm just too much of a stickler for comic accuracy, but then again, I don't know a lot of people who aren't. Johnny Storm is always intended to be a teenager. He's only like 18 or 19 years old when he goes into space with his family, with his sister and them to, get exposed to the cosmic rays. So him being Joseph Quinn being a little bit older is it's on a point of contention, but I let that go. I think he can do a really good job. I've seen him in some other projects alongside his co-star Pedro Pascal, who's booked to play Mr. Fantastic, and they've done pretty well. So I'm all for that. The main villain of the film, of course, naturally, is going to be Galactus, played by Ralph Ineson, and he's going to be naturally he's the devourer of worlds, so he's going to come to devour our planet. And the thing that's awesome about this movie, it's not set in the modern day, and it's not set in the MCU. It's a period piece. It's set in 1960, and Galactus is the only version of himself in the multiverse. So no other universe has it. Our universe 616, that's the universe we're in that the MCU is in, doesn't have it. It's super, super unique, and I think they're basically gonna go fully comic book accurate, and that's for the first time ever with that particular franchise. I mean, this is Marvel's first family. If they don't get it right within the MCU banner, then they should never do that project again, because it's a shame. No, that is literally the characters in the comic book that put Marvel on the map, put Stan Lee's name in everybody's mouth when it comes to comic book idols. So I am super, super excited for this film, and I hope that it maxes the box office, especially since it has competition. Most people forget this. The Fantastic Four First Steps comes out July 25th, 2025. It only comes out 13 or 14 days after DC Comics puts Superman, the movie, in theaters right there, formerly known as Superman Legacy, July 11th, 2025. So it's literally two franchises that put the two major comic book companies in the world on the map, competing with each other in the same month in the same year, which I found super awesome. Like, oh my god. I mean, they come out weeks apart, but I'm like, still gonna pick, because I'm like, after I see both, I'm gonna have to pick one or the other to see again. So I guess it depends on which one's better, because I'm gonna review both on this channel. So stay tuned for that. But that's not till next year, so don't worry about that right now. Yeah, super, super excited for this, and my enthusiasm for this movie is a solid 10, man. 10 out of 10. I am definitely looking forward to it. Super excited. Now on to the big news here, to the big news. I'm only going to talk about, it's technically two pieces of big news, but I'm not going to talk so much about the second, because the second piece of news never changed for anyone for years. So as we know, the next Avengers movie is coming out in 2027. That's Avengers: The Secret Wars, which is based out the popular 1980s comic book right there. I don't need to say more about that. It's basically all the Avengers on one planet called Battle World, and they're fighting this tremendous great villain that is under the guise of another intergalactic being villain called the Beyonder. I don't know if that's the exact story they're going to go with, because that's the exact story from the book, but that's a premise. That's fine. But before that, in 2026, we're getting the Avengers, was formerly Avengers the Kang Dynasty, which I was looking forward to so fucking much. It was going to be awesome. Love the concept of that, because Kang is one of my favorite villains. What we're getting instead is Avengers: The Doom Dynasty, with the man that started it all for MCU, Robert Downey Jr., who you know as Iron Man, coming back to play Doctor Doom. Hot take. Again, feel free to disagree in the comments below or whatever. I don't like it. I don't want it. I really don't care. I don't want to see it. And it's not because I won't, because I think the movie will be crap or won't be good or whatever, but because two reasons. I fear, firstly, as a writer, as a person who writes has their own comic book company, writes their own stories and everything like that, I fear that they're gonna be lured back into the trap of, okay, because this is a different universe, because it's said that this version of Doctor Doom is the same version of Doctor Doom that's in the same universe, the 1960s universe, as the Fantastic Four that's in First Steps, okay? My fear is that they're still gonna mix those two characters, Iron Man and Doctor Doom, and say he was Iron Man at first, and then when things got too bad or whatever, or when the multiverse started to collapse in on itself because we're dealing with the incursions, this is the multiverse saga. The only way to do it is to bring all the universes together and just create Battle World in one universe right here. That solves our problem. That's his version of putting a suit of armor around the world. And although that's okay for a story or whatever, dystopia vision, 1984 or whatever, I don't want that. Maybe it's just because I am too attached to the Kang storyline and felt that they had built that up too much for that to just be dismissed. And that's two-prong issue. One being we all wanted Robert Downey Jr. to come back, but to play a variant or different version of Tony Stark, not to play Doom. I don't want that. No. Definitely not. Especially when, here's my fan cast. Have you seen Cillian Murphy in Oppenheimer? You can't tell me he wouldn't make the perfect Doctor Doom. He looks just like him right there. If you look in the mirror, like he waves his hair back a little bit, like he takes the fedora off from Oppenheimer, and he just wears like something green or like a hood or a robe, you could totally see with the scars, that could totally be Doctor Doom. He's got the voice for it. So, with that being said, the second part being they invested so much time building up Kang. If you saw Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which was a crap movie, aside from Jonathan Majors, crap. The post-credit scenes, best part of the fucking movie. Literally, when he says, "I called all of us," like you see Ramatut, Imperius, and I don't really know what the third variant that were talking to each other when they were talking to each other was, so I have to look into that. I apologize. But when the three of them said that, and they go out and you see literally all those versions of Kang in the Coliseum, every variant, when you see the Council of Kang, I was like, yes, the Kang War is coming. This is what I've been waiting for. Yes, I'm excited. And they kept building up from years before this, months like, Kang is going to be a bigger threat to Thanos. Yes, because he can be, because he's a threat that doesn't get killed. That's the thing about that particular villain. With time travel, you never really die. That's the thing that makes, on the DC side, makes Reverse Flash and Professor Zoom such compelling villains, because they're never not around. Even when we think they've died, there's always a different version or time variant of them out there somewhere that continues on with their evil agenda. That's why we love it. And it's such a shame. The Kang Dynasty could have been so fucking good, especially since they were already building up to Jonathan Majors and the different Kang variants being in every single upcoming show and movie leading up to the Kang Dynasty. Agatha All Along, which is set to drop in a few weeks, just in September, starring it'll have Agatha and Kid Wiccan, who is Wanda's son, of her twins, Billy and Tommy. So the Tommy. Wait, which was? Oh shit! I gotta make sure I didn't mix them up right there. Tommy. Yeah, I think Billy's the witch, the one that's more like his mother. He's also a spellcaster right there, the gay one. Gay icon, all for that, totally progressive, down with that. And that'll be a good show. I recommend that. And I think it's going to be really well done. It's Marvel's attempt at doing another horror project. Other than Werewolf by Night, also love that. Go rewatch it, or watch it if you haven't seen it. Just make sure it's dark outside, because it'll be more scary. It's more cool that way. It was supposed to be revealed in that show. This is just information just came out. In that show, it was supposed to be revealed that Kang, or the variant of Kang, Immortus, the one who had the tall hat, who was standing in the middle of the other three, he was supposed to literally be the one that Arthur, the Darkhold Diaries, that Agatha and Wanda read out of. I was like, oh, so Kang's also a sorcerer as well as a man from the future. I was like, cool. I would have loved to have seen that. the buildup was there, and then it just because of all this outside stuff, and we're not gonna discuss that here. You know, it's just too much. No, so I'm not. So my enthusiasm for that particular movie is affected by all these outside factors, and because of that, I have to give it like a 5 out of 10. Yeah, it'll be great. I'm gonna go see it because I have to review it. I have to support it, support the medium, support the industry. But it's like, okay, whatever. Yeah. So with that being said, that's the Doom Dynasty. And finally, I want to talk about the last thing I want to discuss on the DC side of things, other than the fact that they've got a brilliant, brilliant new logo that's inspired by the old 1970s DC Comics logo. I have it here. It's a logo inspired by this one. You can see that logo, but in blue, and a new movie intro that has the original Superman from the comic books on it. It's gonna be lovely. Is the fact that no one was expecting them to have a presence at this convention, at this year's Comic Con, because James Gunn and Peter Safran have only been in charge for over a year, and production on any movie, television, animation takes months. So nothing is ready to present to the public yet. I do fully expect them to have a presence at next year's Comic Con, a huge presence, because Superman will be coming out in pretty much the same weekend as San Diego Comic Con, or at least will be in theaters the week before that. And the next movie after that, a year later, is like Supergirl, and then a couple of TV shows. Like the Lantern show just got greenlit by HBO, so that should probably be on TV by then. All that stuff. So I'm expecting to do a bunch of announcements next year. They'll probably have a much bigger, if not equally big, presence to Marvel at next year's Comic Con in 2025. Excited about that. The only foothold they took at this year's Comic Con, other than revealing the logo, was they dropped the trailer for their first DCU project that's coming out at the end of this year in December. The Creature Commandos right here. The trailer was insane, and most of the feedback I've gotten on it has all been positive, thank God, because there's haters out there that hate on James Gunn, and there's haters out there that just generally just want the Snyderverse restored and blah blah blah. I'm not with that bullshit. I just want good stories being told, and I really think this is going to be a good story. It's my only problem with it is really just the amount of episodes. I mean, I really think it should be at least 10 episodes. It's a 7-episode HBO Max series about a group of particular monsters that is brought together under the guise of what's being called now Project M, by Amanda Waller, who you guys know is one of my favorite characters. I love Amanda Waller. I love Viola Davis as Amanda Waller. They should never change that. I'm good. And I don't, once again, with the hate online, Amanda Waller's in too many projects. She's pretty much in everything. Shut the fuck up. Just enjoy the show. If you enjoy it, shut up. I don't want to hear that shit. No. So, put her in more shit. I'm one of them type of people. So, with that being said, the concept is the show it's an animated series. It takes place post the events of The Suicide Squad by James Gunn, and Peacemaker, right there, starring John Cena, which is also coming out next year, Peacemaker Season 2. Look out for that. I'll do a review on that as well. It's awesome. Peacemaker Season 2. And it's revealed that when they're first coming into... This is how we get into the trailer. You see a military chopper coming down and land in front of the prison. It's revealed that that's General, not Colonel, General Rick Flag Sr. For those of you that don't know, General Rick Flag Sr. is the famous military father of Colonel Rick Flag Jr., who got killed by Peacemaker in the movie The Suicide Squad, right there. Still pissed off about that because Colonel Rick Flag was my favorite character. Still pissed about that. I hope they retcon that or fix that in some story way. I have a couple of ideas for that, but that's for another video. And he reveals that he He said, "Why are you bringing me here? I thought Congress suspended all Task Force X activities, like they shut her down." And she said, Amanda Waller reveals, "They said that you couldn't use humans." And then he shows them some of the prisoners down there, and he's like, they're coming to attack her, and she electrocutes them all by the push of a button. These assholes ain't humans. It's funny. It's really amazing. A team of titular monsters that's put together for the sole purpose of rescuing a some sort of foreign dignitary from a fictional place. Right there. It's starring. The agents are the Bride of Frankenstein, aka just the Bride. Weasel, who's a leftover from the Suicide Squad, but it makes sense because he's mostly not human. He's a monster. GI Robot, who was a machine built during the World War II, designed for the sole purpose of killing Nazis. Frankenstein's monster, right there, who doesn't look like to be doing really much in the series other than just having a romance with the bride or trying to get the bride to pay attention to him. So he's basically a confused following lover's boy, kind of a Steve Urkel of the group. Dr. Phosphorus, who is a Batman villain, who, since he's a skull-faced monster, you can't read his facial expressions. He kind of has to tell you what he's thinking, or the height of his flame on his head tells you how he feels at that particular time. And Dr. Nina Mazursky, who is kind of a fish-based amphibious type of monster, who's also super smart. Right there. Her father in the comic books is Professor Eric Mazursky, who is the person who originally created Project M and therefore created the Creature Commandos. Right there. And they're all coming together in this sort of gravitas way to basically act as essentially the new Task Force X, aka the new Suicide Squad, the Creature Commandos, and that's gonna be super awesome. It was ranchy, it was funny. James Gunn's written all the episodes himself. He wrote it during the pandemic, right there, and now it's finally being released. And I think it'll be super entertaining. I think you guys will be super surprised by how taken aback you are by this. There's a lot more you can get away with on animation than you can with live action. And the great thing about this particular project is you get to see next year when we do Superman Legacy that James Gunn kept his word when it comes to, he said the thing that they're doing different at DC now is the people that play the voice or voice the characters of certain characters in animated series will also move from animation into live action, back and forth, having the same person who plays the voice play the person in live action. The key example of this is General Rick Flag Sr. He will not only be in Creature Commandos, he's also going to be in Peacemaker Season 2, which is coming out, being released right after Superman Legacy, like the next week after that. Because James Gunn literally is on set shooting Peacemaker right now. And before that, he's going to be the general that's arresting Superman, David Cornsweet, in the movie Superman. So he's in the next 3 projects playing the same character. But first time you hear Frank Grillo, who played Crossbones in Captain America, the Civil War. I have to keep all my continuity together because the first time you see him is actually in Captain America, the Winter Soldier, but he's not Crossbones until the next movie, Captain America, Civil War. So it's cool. And now he's working for DC, playing General Rick Flag Sr. So I think that's really cool. Yeah, so I am super excited about this project. It's going to be ranchy, it's going to be funny, have a lot of action, and some classic James Gunn storytelling. So, there'll be a lot of comedy, a lot of heart in it, a found family. Concepts that we know he kills. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy and Peacemaker and the Suicide Squad, which is one of my favorite movies, shows that. So I'm down. So my excitement level for that is about the same as Fantastic Four First Steps. 10 out of 10. I'm down with it. So Let me know down in the comments below what is your favorite project to look forward to out of San Diego Comic Con. Let us know what you think of what other topics you want us to discuss here on the podcast. Let us know. Like, share, subscribe, comment, reach out to me whenever you need to talk, whenever you got new ideas, or if you want to get involved in the action that we do here for free. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you get your media from. And remember, we love you. We can't do without you. Thank you, and God bless.